Hi guys, it's Sarah from Book Nerds and Fangirls, and today I'll be ranking my favorite Ellen Hopkins books from least favorite to best Ellen Hopkins book in my opinion. Someone asked me to do a recommendations video for Ellen Hopkins, but like Rochelle Mead, she's my queen, so I can't really pick one of my favorites because I love all her novels. Not the same, I do love some more than I love others, and that's what this list is about. I'm gonna put a few disclaimers here. Ellen Hopkins books do deal with dark topics, so I'll be doing some trigger warnings, and topics that aren't triggering, but they still deal with in the book. And a lot of her books do have multiple perspectives, so if anyone is wondering who my favorite characters are, I'm also gonna put that down for which story I liked following better. But there's definitely gonna be a few trigger warnings in her books. She does deal with subjects of rape and molestation and a lot of other topics that might trigger people, so I'm gonna put a huge disclaimer. The top 4 books on the list are gonna have major spoiler warnings because they do deal with one or more of these topics that I'm discussing, so I'm definitely gonna put what topics they discuss, and this is gonna, like Ellen Hopkins, I'm gonna be doing a rereading of Crank soon, which is one of my favorite Ellen Hopkins novels. I'm thinking about doing all my favorites and even my least favorites, just gearing up because I've been in a slump lately, and I think dedicating the whole month of September to just reading my favorite books of all time will get me out of this slump for the last 3 months of this year, so I can meet my goal of top 16 of 2016. No, wait, actually, it's not 2016 anymore, sir. My top 17 of 2017. So I'm going to be doing that. I'm also sad that I don't have reviews out for my 2 favorite authors, which are Rochelle Mead and Ellen Hopkins. So I'm definitely gonna fix that by rereading these books and giving you guys more reviews about them, because I definitely love these 2 ladies and they deserve way more hype than they seem to get, because I've only known of a few booktubers that have read Ellen Hopkins novels, which is weird to me because Ellen Hopkins was such a big thing in my school, because my school thought it'd be a cool idea to ban Ellen Hopkins because of the dark subject matter that she discussed in her novels, because she's very graphic with the way she writes. Also, another disclaimer: if you don't like poetry or prose, these books probably aren't going to be for you, because these books, while telling a story, also deal with them in the poetry format, and some of them are very harder to read than others. I remember reading Crank in her poetry format and having to legitimately read this book like twice because I didn't get some of the parts in it because it was in such a different format than I was used to reading, but it's definitely a different format. So, like, if you're sick of the normal way books write formats, Ellen Hopkins might be for you as well. And with that, I will get into the top books. I have 13 books on this list, but like Rochelle Mead, I don't have all of her books. There are 4 books by Ellen Hopkins. I think she has 17 books out now, but there are 3 to 4 books I have here that I haven't read by her yet. I have The You I Never Known by Ellen Hopkins, which I definitely want to get to. Next month, I also have Love Lies Beneath by Ellen Hopkins, as well as Collateral by Ellen Hopkins. And Flirting with the Monster is also on the list of books I haven't read yet. Not sure if I'm going to read it. If people have read Flirting with the Monster, please comment down below and let me know if it's a great novel, because I want to read all of Ellen Hopkins' novels. I want to, but I've been in such a reading slump that it angers me, because Ellen Hopkins, I'm running behind on her books, and I really don't want to, because she's such a great author, and one I think that teenagers need to read more of, which is why I'm so pissed at her books getting banned in schools just because of the subject matter, which I get somewhat, but at the same time, these subjects happen in everyday life, and we need books out there for these types of subjects. And every time school library seems to get in touch with these subjects, they throw out the book because they don't want it in their libraries. So I remember me and a couple of my friends fighting the system by bringing our own Ellen Hopkins books to the schools, because she's such a great author and she deserves way more hype than she gets. And she doesn't deserve the reputation of being a banned author in schools because of her subject matter. I just think they need to let teenagers read this subject matter, because this is the 21st century and we need more books that discuss these topics, because a lot of people go through these, believe it or not. So I think this list will definitely help with which books I prefer. So coming in at number 13, I actually have these books. Some of these books I don't have because I've lost them. But coming in at number 13 is Tilt by Ellen Hopkins. If I had to pick one of my least favorite Ellen Hopkins books, I will go with Tilt. This deals with 3 of the teenagers from her adult novel Triangles, which is on this list. It deals with Michaela, Shane, and Harley, and the experiences that they went through in the first book and the aftermath of the first book. So Tilt, if I had to pick my favorite character in Tilt, it's definitely Michaela in here. And the subject matters that this book deals with is teen pregnancy, dying relatives. There is a HIV positive character in here as well, and of course drug and alcohol use. So this book, it was very forgettable to me, which is why it's so loose in my mind. I can't remember half of what happens in here. I remember most of Michaela's storyline, which is why Michaela is my favorite, because she's the only storyline that I could really remember. I briefly remember Shane's, and I remember nothing about Harley's. To tell you the truth, Harley is the one that's lost to me on the most, so I'm definitely gonna have to give that a reread. So coming in at number 12 is one that I don't have here with me, and that's the 3rd book in her Krang series, which is Fallout. This one follows the 3 children of the main character, Christina, or aka Bree in Crank. This involves her children Summer, Hunter, and Autumn, but overall she has 5 kids, but they don't follow the 2 youngest ones that are with Christina at the moment. But the ones I like the most are Summer and Hunter. I don't really remember much of Autumn's storyline, which is why she's not on here, but this book deals with drug and alcohol addiction, how drugs have long-term effects on members of your family and children, child abuse, violence, and discussions about rape. So if any of these topics don't mesh well with you, I would stray away from this one. So coming in at number 11 on my Ellen Hopkins series is Triangles by Ellen Hopkins. Now this is Ellen Hopkins' first adult novel. Dealing with 3 women. I can't remember their names remind me. All I remember is Holly, and Holly is one of my favorite characters. You see, there's this theme for my least favorite 3 Ellen Hopkins books, because I don't remember them that well. But these do have warnings for sexual content, including extramarital sex. If you want to know what extramarital sex is, look it up. Because I think I'll get banned for discussing this topic. I got another thing is cheating, and then the last one is dealing with a child with a terminal illness and the potential loss of that child. So it's definitely a heavy book with heavy subject matter. So coming in number 10 is actually a book I own, and that's Perfect by Ellen Hopkins. Perfect follows, I think it's 3 teenagers. It might be 4. There's Kara, Connor, Kendra, and Sean. Okay, so it's 4 teenagers. Kara is the sister of Connor from the book Impulse, so I can't read Kara's storyline on here. We got Connor, who is addicted to steroids. Kendra, who basically wants to become a model so bad that she'll do drugs and plastic surgeries to get what she wants. And Sean is the one that deals with oh yeah, I did Sean. Andre and I don't know, Andre is kind of like loose in my mind. I know he was dealing with ethnic identity, which is whenever you know you're a certain ethnicity, but you don't really feel that you're that way because you don't know a lot about your ancestry. So that deals with that. This book deals with eating disorders, drug use, plastic surgery, body shaming. There is a hell of a lot of body shaming in this book, y'all. Sexual and ethnic identity, because there is a character in here that is bisexual at first, but they think they might be a lesbian as well. Ethnic identity with Andre, because he doesn't know if he really fits in to his ethnicity. And the most difficult one to deal with in here is definitely rape, because there is a scene of rape in this one. So trigger warning for everyone about rape in this book. And of course, body dysmorphia, I believe, also plays a huge part in this as well. So there's that one. Coming in at number 9, I have Impulse by Ellen Hopkins, which I don't know where my copy of Impulse went, because I could have sworn I brought it to this house. It looks like I have to find it. My favorite character in this one, if I had to pick one, is definitely Vanessa. And oh, I forgot in Perfect, Kara's my favorite protagonist to read from. So Impulse deals with these 3 teenagers, Connor, Vanessa, and Tony. And they're in a mental institution for committing suicide. Because before this novel happens, the 3 try to commit suicide. So their family puts them in this mental institution, and their stories unfold from there. This book deals with sexual identity, suicide, cutting, mental health, murder, rape, and the death of a loved one. So forewarned about that one. Coming in at number 8 is Traffic by Ellen Hopkins. I actually have a review for this one on my channel somewhere. Very young Sarah from 2 years ago did a review of this one. My favorite 2 characters in this one are Eden and Whitney. This is the second book in the Traffic duology. Also, Impulse is the first book in the Impulse duology as well. My favorite, this one deals with prostitution, abuse, and drug and alcohol use. So coming in at number 7 is a book I actually own again, and that's Rumble by Ellen Hopkins. This deals with the main character, Matthew? Yeah, there it is. Deals with the main character, Matthew. Matthew, after the death of his younger brother, and you get to see why he loses his religion. So this book deals with suicide, the death of a family member, bullying, and losing faith in God. So if any of that puts you off, I would stray away from this book. Because it's definitely one about losing faith in God. And if faith in God could be restored, or if the action of what someone did put you off from religion forever, because I definitely know I've felt this whole losing faith God. God stuff. So I like this book. This book definitely deals with a subject that isn't really discussed that often. So coming up next, I have one I own again, and that's Smoke by Ellen Hopkins. This is the second book in the Byrne duology by Ellen Hopkins. My favorite character to follow in here is Peyton's sister Jackie, even though I loved following Peyton in Burned. She does have excerpts in here, but it's mostly Peyton and Jackie's point of view. So this book follows the events after Burned, so I can't really discuss it because huge major spoiler warnings for Burned. So this one deals with the death of a family member, physical and emotional abuse, and dealing with the fallout of one's choices. So I definitely recommend this book because it's definitely that, and this also deals with the subject of murder as well. So coming in at number 5, I have Glass by Ellen Hopkins. This is the second book in Ellen Hopkins' Cranked trilogy, and it's one of my personal favorites. So this one deals with drug addiction, relapsing from coming clean off of drugs, and teen pregnancy. There might be a rape in this one. I'm not 100% sure. I think she's still dealing with her rape, but I'm not 100% sure of that. And now finally we get to my top 4 novels. Which will definitely have spoiler warnings because they're my top 4 and I remember a lot about them. So coming in at number 4 is the one I don't have the dust jacket for, but that's Tricks by Ellen Hopkins. So Tricks tells a story about, I believe there's 4 teenagers. I know there's Eden, Whitney. I wish I had traffic so I remember the other 2 in this book. Let's see. Seth, it was one of them. Eden, Seth, Whitney, and Ginger. There we go. So it's Ginger, Eden, Seth, and Whitney in this book. If I had to pick my personal favorite, Eden is one, even though Ginger's story is a close second. I actually think I'll reread this one because I definitely need a refresher on this one. This book deals with prostitution, being sold into prostitution, because there is one person that gets sold into it. There's also a subject about reforming. I think it's correct. It's where a mother or father feels like their child is in need of being reformed, so they send them to a religious camp or something of that matter. So there's definitely reforming in this book, which I hate the process of reforming. Actually, I believe it's unnecessary. So, moving off the religious topic because I'm gonna get heated if I start talking about it. This book also contains drugging, where a character in this book does get drugged, as well as alcohol use, sexual content, and partying. So this book is definitely not for the light of heart. It really gets into the really darker topics of our society, and why one might go into prostitution. So that was definitely heavy. The next book I have for you here is, of course, huge spoiler warnings for this book. This one is Identical by Ellen Hopkins. This is one of my favorite Ellen Hopkins novels. Actually, the top 4 were so hard for me to pick. It was just so hard to pick my top favorites because I love all these 4 books the same, but some endings of them really hit me hard. So this book follows 2 girls, Kaylee and Renee. 2 twin sisters that couldn't be any more different. Identical. I definitely like Renee's point of view better. So we have drug and alcohol use, physical and emotional abuse, seeing a mental health that is kind of thrown at you out of nowhere, and the hugest spoiler I could give in any Ellen Hopkins books, but I feel like this trigger warning is very necessary for most readers, but these do include the topic of molestation. molestation, and I know that's a very hard topic. I don't even like thinking about anyone who would do that to their own child, but this book does involve molestation, so forewarned before going into this book, there are scenes that there are definitely PTSD moments in this book because of that, so definitely be forewarned before reading this book, or if you haven't read it, this book is definitely heavy, and it's definitely hard to get into, and I just remember hating their fucking dad so much in this book because of it. So coming in at number 2, moving past the heated moments, because oh my god, these last 4 books get me so heated because of the subjects, but coming in at number 2 is Burned by Ellen Hopkins. Hopkins is full of the story of Peyton and losing her religious faith, where one day she gets expelled from school for, I believe, punching a girl. So her parents in fear send her off to her aunt in Nevada, and that's her story from here. So this book deals with losing faith in one's religion and also questioning that faith, because Payne does start questioning a lot about her religion in this book and why they let certain things happen, and a lot of the religion, like the pastor, whenever she tells the pastor a very important secret, just seems to play it off like she shouldn't be talking about these things, she shouldn't be worrying about them, but it's definitely more of you speak well spoken to, if you see anything, you don't talk about it, keep your family business in your family business, don't bring it here type deal, which really got me heated because I know of a lot of stories where that's actually true, where a pastor, a preacher, a person faithful terminate a person's problems. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. So that definitely deals with this. There is also sexual content in this book, as well as physical and emotional abuse, because her father is a alcohol addict. He has a very high alcoholic addiction, which causes him to hit Peyton and her sisters as well. And of course, violence, the death of a loved one, and the hugest spoiler I could give is this does have miscarriage in it. So be forewarned about that one. There is a character that has a miscarriage in this one, so warn. So last but not least, my favorite Ellen Hopkins book, which this one definitely deserves it because this is actually a loosely true-based story of Ellen Hopkins' daughter, and that's Crank by Ellen Hopkins. This deals with a girl named Christina. She's a meth addict in this book. She's a perfect straight-A student at first, has a loving amount of friends, has a great family, and then problems ensue whenever her mother sends her to go visit her father one day, and she gets hooked on this thing we like to call the monster, aka methamphetamines. So this is her downward spiral in light of doing meth. So this book was very interesting. I knew a lot of people that did meth back in my hometown, so I really wanted to see what meth actually does to a person, because it's one thing to see it, but to read about it. It's one thing to read about it, but to see it, but it's a very horrible experience, to tell you the truth. If you ever really seen a meth addict, it's really chilling, and I wouldn't recommend it, even though it's unavoidable at this point. So this book deals with drug addiction, violence, teen pregnancy, and rape, because there is a scene of rape in here. But this book, I definitely pick it up because it's one of the best Ellen Hopkins books I've read, and to think this is actually her daughter's real story, or loosely based off her daughter's real story, is really heartbreaking. And my heart really goes out to Ellen Hopkins for having to deal with the situation, as well as her daughter, because Yes, I know being a meth addict is your choice, but I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy personally. And this book just really hits home with me, and it's just, ugh, just really chilling. So there you guys have it. That was my list of Ellen Hawkins books ranked. Have you ever read Ellen Hawkins before? If you didn't, comment down below, let me know. No, but if you did, what's your favorite Ellen Hawkins book? Because you guys already know my top 4 are my favorites. So I will see you guys in my next video, and hopefully I'll have a video where I could actually discuss these books with you, because I definitely need spoiler warnings for these books, because I get so heated about these books, and I can't discuss them with anybody because almost none of my friends that are here read Ellen Hawkins, so it's like grr. But comment down below, let me know, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!